Hindi talaga sila titigil hanggang hindi nila napapabagsak si Bongbong Marcos. Isang matinding debate na naman ang hindi inurungan ni Bongbong Marcos laban sa lider ng Liberal Party na si Senator Franklin Drilon. Nagulat at natulala ang mga kapwa-senador nila sa Senado matapos supalpalin una ni Bongbong Marcos si Bam Aquino. Ngayon naman, call emergency sila at pinalitan ni Franklin Drilon. Ngunit, wa-epic pa rin kay Bongbong Marcos. Panoorin mo ang video na ito. Kikilabutan ka sa tapang at talino ni Bongbong Marcos.
Please subscribe para makakuha ka ng 25 oras na balita para sa'yo.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the indulgence of Senator Drilon, I would just like to manifest that I did not, in fact, in caucus vote for did not agree to the period of 40 billion for the aggregate incremental revenue collections over sin taxes in the structure that has been proposed. The reason that I did not agree with the figure of 40 billion is that, as I think I had amply shown during my interpolation, that the figure of 40 billion is not in fact a figure that is a realistic one, and it is a one that will be collected by the BIR for various reasons, which, as I said, I think I was able to amply demonstrate. Now, I was advised by many of my fellow senators that we should see merely the number of 40 billion merely as a target, and if we are successful in achieve that, then all well and good. But if not, then then we will have to look it back. But we must just see. If I believe it will not be that 40 billion will not be collected, so be it. It is merely a target. However, the argument and the discussion does not end there. The discussion goes on is because of the use of the wrong numbers, wrong coefficient to force the calculations to reach 40 billion. The impositions upon the tobacco industry and to a lesser extent to the alcohol industry will be such that the effect will be ruinous to the industry. And that is why I believe we have been able to show that that 40 billion, as has been said over and over again, is not really a practical number, and it is not one that I agreed with. And as I said during my interpolation, during the period of individual amendments, I will propose a system by which those dislocations that we fear are not as severe as they would be in the bill as proposed. So that I await, but still arrive at an incremental revenue number, which will be very close to what the sponsor proposes. Having said that, I would just like to further move now from manifestation to just a quick question to our sponsor. The sponsor, when he opened after our suspension, said that we will follow the sharing on a historical rate, at the historical trend, which between tobacco and alcohol. The sharing between tobacco.
The sharing, we follow the historical data insofar as the sharing between fermented liquor and distilled spirits.
I only bring it up, Mr. President, because the number for sharing of 60-40 was also mentioned. So as I understand it, from my readings, the historical sharing is not in fact 60-40. It is more in the high 50s and the low 40s. High 50s for tobacco and low 40s. So I just wanted to clarify that we're not following 60-40. We're following.
No, we're following 60-40, and on the 40% for liquor, we follow the historical sharing.
So the historical sharing is only why again?
Because we believe that this is a health measure. And by the way, we're talking about historically the sharing the technical staff is something like 57.5% as against 42.5%. So we just rounded it off to 60-40.
Well, 1 percentage point, Mr. President, is we are talking in hundreds of billions. Never mind in terms of pesos, but we are also talking in terms of jobs lost. Because as we have tried to point out many times, that even by the figures, the disputed figures of the Department of Finance that were given us, the reduction is still 43% in terms of production.
Mr. President, I was just trying to reflect the consensus in the caucus. And that is what I present. The gentleman from Ilocos Norte may be correct in his statement that historically it's less than 50, it could be less than 60. It could be in the high 60s. That may be correct, we do not dispute that. What we're just saying is that the consensus in the caucus is 60-40. That the 40% for the liquor will be shared in accordance with the historical share.
With all due respect to the good sponsor, I did not hear any discussion
Well,
on
the Senate President can affirm
on
that.
the historical. As far as I understood it, that we were going to follow the historical sharing between tobacco and alcohol. And as I said, the actual historical, again, I go back to my empirical data, will show us that it is not 60-40, but it is more, it's closer to the number that the good sponsors mentioned, 57 to maybe 43, or it has changed over the years, but it is never reached 60.
Well, that's why we are not disputing that it reached 60. We're just saying that that is the consensus in the caucus. And that the historical sharing will be applied on the liquor. The 40% on the liquor. That's all that we're saying. That's what we arrived at the caucus. So, Mr. President.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I cannot say that I'm satisfied with that answer because, as I said, I did not hear any discussion on the sharing. But nevertheless, that debate will be for another time. Thank you very much, Mr. President.